Welcome to episode 20 of Lost in Translation with Bobby Martin. I'm Sam Perkins. As always, we're coming to you from the WCTV studios in Wilmington, Massachusetts. 20 episodes, Bobby. This is, we're cranking them out now, Big Bobby.
Number 20. It's going well. Let's keep it going, Sam.
I'm saying Big Bobby because we are joined by Bobby. He goes by Bobby Media. Is it Sommers? Is that how you pronounce your last name?
Sommers with an O, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Bobby Sommers is a basketball player for Amherst College out in Western Mass. You have to be a really incredible hooper to play college basketball at any level, whether it's 3, 2, 1, NAIA, JUCO. It's like the top 1% of high school hoopers in the country. But that being said, Bobby Media, I think is a world's better videographer than he is a hooper, and he's a very good hooper. So that says something. In my opinion, he is the best sports videographer in the Northeast. That's my opinion. I've watched a lot. I've learned a lot from him from afar. And then he came in and talked to the studio here, gave us kind of a tutorial, which was awesome. But Bobby, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me. That was a great intro. Excited to talk to you guys today.
I'm excited for you to be here, but I do have a complaint.
What's that?
So I've seen Bobby Media gear all over the place. I've seen the little wristbands, seen T-shirts,
Right.
And you bought nothing.
Yeah, I went through a little bit of a rebranding. So the old apparel has a Bobby.media, but I had to change my account name to the Bobby Media because Instagram banned my account. So I wasn't able to post anything or get tagged with Bobby.media for some reason. So I went through a whole rebranding, but I got some new stuff in the works. So I'll send some over.
Have the proper sizes.
We will rock it on here. How did you get your Instagram account?
I don't know. It was shadow banned, so it was a whole mess. So
Really?
I just changed it.
Wow.
It was just easier.
Enemies in the industry.
Exactly.
People jealous.
Exactly.
So Bobby, I'm fascinated by you as a videographer because you came in, you talked to my staff, professionals that have been, working here, and everybody was blown away. And it made everybody feel everybody had a level of insecurity because you're 21 years old, something like that, 20 or 20.
21, yeah.
You're not even started your junior year yet. And how incredible a videographer you are and how just knowledgeable you are about how to set up for a shoot, how to prep for a shoot, how to actually shoot at the editing. Where did that begin? And we're talking about hoops too, but where did videography begin for you?
Yeah, it actually began with hoops. So my dad would film all my games throughout junior, senior year of high school. And then that kind of coincided with COVID. So in that COVID spring when school was remote, I just started taking all that footage he shot, editing it, teaching myself Adobe Premiere Pro, After Effects. And then that kind of just sprouted this love for editing. And then eventually I got a camera. And from there, I was just teaching myself everything. I was watching tutorials all day, falling asleep watching tutorials, and just shooting every chance I could. Austin Hunt was my first video I ever made. And just kind of doing local stuff with a bunch of AAU teams. And, from there, I took a gap year and just kind of continued that path into Amherst.
Austin talked about how your mix of him kind of put him on the map in local circles as far as being a basketball player and being a dunker. So he gave you a shout out on our last one of our more recent episodes.
Yeah, no, that was a fun one. I think people were surprised because he was 14 at the time doing 360 reverse dunks, crazy stuff. So
Wow.
Yeah.
So how many games do you actually go around and see all the time, or do you have to? Are you hoping for some good shots, or you just follow kids around multiple games and you start editing?
Yeah, so now is a lot different. I think when I was first starting out, I was doing a lot of the AAU stuff. I've kind of transitioned away now, but in the start, I would basically go up to, it was Derry, New Hampshire for a lot of it in that first kind of COVID AAU period. And so I'd go film from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., probably 12 games, if I were to guess. I would end up making 20 videos that week, and it would just be recording as much as possible. So I would try to get hired by the team themselves and then also individual players, because I think it's a lot more efficient if I can get paid by the team and then make the smaller individual mixes as well. But yeah, no, starting out, I was really just worrying about capturing every possible thing I could.
So who pays better, the team or the individual?
The team definitely pays better, like overall, but then if I can add up a couple individual players, that I can make a lot more money from that. It's more scalable.
Do you ever feel like as a young kid who was just starting out that teams or players or anyone like took advantage of you? Were there ever times that people tried to get more than their money or they stiffed you on pay or something like that?
I never really dealt with that. I was pretty fortunate to begin working with Mike Crotty, who runs Middlesex Magic, pretty early on. So me and him have a great relationship. He's helped me a lot in my career. But I actually played for him for a while. So when I started out, I reached out to him, and it kind of coincided with their program was really on the rise. I was kind of on the rise, and we worked together. And I think it was definitely a mutual benefit. So he took care of me financially, as well as just like exposure and all that. I was able to go with them to their UAA stuff after they got sponsored. And that was just a great experience working with him. So I was fortunate enough to not get kind of stiff, but I know that is a big issue, especially with some of these younger guys starting out.
So do guys, the individuals, do they come to you just looking for a highlight video, or do you, because I haven't seen that much, but do you interview them as far as them being able to speak, or is it just more of the basketball highlights?
I think a lot of the videos I do is more just the highlights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did it begin with you in hoops? Because I know hoops was there before videography, even though videography is what, I think it's fair to say you have more of a name as a videographer than a hooper, but you have the rare distinction of being a videographer who can hoop and currently hoops at the same time. Right. But where did it begin with you in basketball?
Yeah, so I've been like an athlete my whole life. My dad was athletic. He played college football. But it started with me in lacrosse, actually. So I played main sport lacrosse up until I think 6th grade. But I kind of hit a growth spurt, and at that point I was 6'1", and all my friends were like you got to play basketball. So I actually think it was 5th grade, but I tried out for the travel team, and I made it. I was playing center up until 8th grade, and then that middle school season I kind of realized like I love basketball, and kind of went hard on it and kind of developed my guard skills. And then, and then just throughout high school, I played at St. Mark's High School, great competition in the ISL. I think my game kind of developed a lot there.
What was it like growing up in Southborough? I have an affinity for the boroughs. I mean, I'm a city kid. I grew up in Cambridge, but I lived out that way for a while. Great experiences with my oldest son when he was, 2 and 3 years old. We were out there. What was life like out there? What was it like growing up out there?
Yeah, I mean, life was pretty simple. Like, I think elementary school, middle school was great. Just hanging out with my friends, playing sports outside. And then I think I was definitely very fortunate enough to go to St. Mark's. I learned a lot there. It was a great education, and I think I grew a lot as an athlete and just a student as well. But I still keep in touch with all my friends from Southborough, from middle school. And yeah, I just love the town. I still live there now. I live with my parents over the summers, and I still love it.
Did you attend the Faith School also?
I didn't, no.
No? Okay.
Yeah. I was at Trotter.
Are you more passionate about one versus the other right now? Basketball or videography? Basketball or filming basketball?
Right. It kind of fluctuates with whatever I'm doing at the moment. So like right now I'm in full videography mode in my internship. I'm like fully like in the deep end basically. And then in the season, like I don't even think about videography. So like I didn't touch my camera from October to March, which that's a good thing. Maybe it's not. But I definitely get very involved in whatever I'm doing. And I only have 2 seasons left, so I'm trying to focus pretty strongly on those.
So my question is, you provide the soundtracks for the music for the videos?
It depends. So for Instagram stuff, I normally will just take a song, like a Drake song or something.
So does that song hit you, say, okay, this is what I need for him? Or
yeah. So I actually like, what I like to do in the car rides is I'll just listen, and then if I like, I'll like put on like Spotify shuffle. And if I hear a song, I'll like either screenshot it or like add it to a playlist, and then I'll just go back through, because I always say like that's probably the hardest part, is finding a good song. Because if you have like good footage and a bad song is not going to work. So I always try to find a good song.
How much of your stuff that you work on right now is not Instagram? Like, because I know Instagram is a big driver for a lot of people, and your stuff's really amazing on Instagram. But there are limitations too. Like, I mean, Instagram, on the one hand, it's cool that you really have like a minute 30 seconds to work with, so it really forces you to get your absolute best stuff, your crispest stuff. It's in writing they call it like killing your darlings, which is like, don't get so in love with your intro or something that you're working on or this thought you have in your head. Like, go with like, get into it, get it done, and get out of it. And I think Instagram forces a videographer to really be like, not get too in love with being like too crazy art, like the super long intro. And, you know, it's like, get in, grab them immediately, and then you have to get out. But like, it also does kind of limit some of the more creative stuff. I know you can post longer videos, but you know, it's not really what Instagram's intended for. Do you do longer stuff that's not on Instagram? I guess it's
I think if you look at my account, I think I might have posted once in the last like 4 months or something. I think most of my work, at least for this summer, I've been working with the Celtics doing an internship. So a lot of that is just behind the scenes stuff that they end up posting. So that's just not really Instagram worthy for myself. But then besides that, a lot of my focus recently has been in more of the cinematography aspect. So I've been just focusing on capturing the game content as best as I can. So a lot of what I'm doing, especially at school, so I worked with Amherst Athletics and then UMass as well, is just filming those games. And I'm not really necessarily making the little 1 minute Instagram hype mixes out of that. But a lot of what I'm doing is kind of recap videos for the school to post, and I don't necessarily share that myself. I think I probably should post more. I think definitely in today's day and age, posting more is better, but I try to keep my Instagram more like the work I'm most proud of.
So how many requests do you get from your teammates? Yo, you gotta get me out there, man. I need some shine.
At this point, I think I've been asked so many times and I've said no every time that I don't get it that much more. But I got a couple of buddies over at UMass, which is just like 2 minutes away. So I've gotten them out to film a couple of our games, which has been great. So my teammates have been happy enough with that.
Yeah. So when you were starting out, I mean, it's obviously hard to when you first start, you explained you were going around, you had a connection, you kind of were just filming as much as you could. How long into creating videos do you think you got to the point where people were like Bobby, like seeking you out? Like, Bobby Media is, you were starting to rise above the fray of all the young videographers that are at all the AAU tournaments.
Yeah, I think part of it was I started at a very good time. I think I kind of beat the wave of a lot of young guys. There's so many talented young guys right now. But I think when I was starting out, it was kind of me, Court Vision Cuts, and a couple other guys who were more established, but weren't really doing the smaller like AAU stuff. So I think I was in enough of a niche where I was going up to these tournaments and people were seeing me being posted by Middlesex Magic, Zero Gravity, or whatever. And I think that was enough to kind of stand out and have people seek me out. So I was pretty lucky to have started when I did.
So you said that you were working for Middlesex Magic. You also played for them some, but then you said you played for another AAU. Did you continue doing videography for Middlesex Magic after you'd switched to a different AAU program, or were you still playing for them the whole time that you were doing videography?
Okay, so I guess I should specify. So I played with Magic, I think it was my freshman and sophomore year of high school, and then I switched to Mass Select my junior and senior year, or just junior year. And then I didn't start videography until my senior year. So I just but I still kept a great relationship with Coach Crotty. So once I started, I reached out to him about kind of working together, and he was all ears.
You think he liked you more as a videographer than a player?
Probably. Yeah. We had a good little run basketball wise, but I think our relationship professionally is very good. Yeah.
So I know that you said that you watched lots and lots and lots and lots of tutorials. Who at the time, was there anyone specific or just anything you could find, or were there specific videographers that you really were looking to then, and are there videographers that you still look to now?
Yeah, I think in terms of like tutorials on YouTube, just people like Peter McKinnon, Danny Geverts, people like that. But in terms of like other videographers who I was looking up to, I don't know if I just wasn't following people or I just really didn't see it that big back then. I mean, there's a couple of big guys like Cam Beverly, who I think is now working with the Clippers, and Josh Englert, who is working with one of the players on the Timberwolves. So they were pretty consistently posting, and I would follow them, and they were definitely big inspirations for me. But I think now, like, I follow way more people who, like, I see it on my Instagram feed and I get inspired daily. So, I mean, I'm going to forget people, but like Shots by Kai is very talented. I think he's from New Jersey. And okay, now I'm going to leave out everybody else because I can't think of people off the top of my head. But I have like, I'll go through and like save things on my Instagram. And I just get inspired daily by just everybody I follow.
Do you ever watch the guy up in Canada, Pete Cirillis, I think is his name?
Yeah. So I know him, like, just online friendship, like we DM. No, he's great. He posts tutorials on YouTube. He kind of inspired me. I've been posting some tutorials as well, trying to get a little bit of a following on YouTube, which has been a lot of fun this summer.
How's that going for you?
Pretty good. Yeah, I've experienced some good growth. I'm at like 650 subscribers, I think, and getting some good traction there. It's been fun.
Yeah, Pete and you are the only two that I watch the tutorials all the time. I share them with everybody here.
Yeah, there's not too many guys doing like consistent weekly stuff, and Peter's been doing it consistently for years now. So a lot of props to him.
So are there certain techniques that you will not share with anyone else?
No, I think I'm pretty open. Because I think a lot of what makes a good video is like your eye, which I can't necessarily teach, or like just your feel for the video. But I think in terms of technical stuff, like I don't think there's anything too crazy that I'm doing in terms of like After Effects or like crazy visual effects that I think would separate myself. I think I'm not afraid to share that. I'm not afraid to share anything that I do. So
besides your love for this, what makes you special that everyone is so enamored with your work?
I'm hesitant to say everyone's so enamored with my work. I mean, I think I'm pretty good, but I don't know. I think I have a pretty good eye for kind of pacing of a video and storytelling in specific edits. I think one thing that I do pretty well is understanding the social media landscape. So for videos, I see a lot of videos nowadays that it's like a super long intro, so it's 20 seconds of the player in warm-ups or like slow motion clips. And my thing is, I think within 5 seconds you need the biggest play. So like a lot of my work for the Celtics right now is like 30 seconds max. So I'm thinking, okay, a couple seconds of an intro, maybe the player doing like handshake lines, and then bang, like best dunk of the year or something. And I think you really need to catch the audience's attention right off the bat, because realistically, no one's going to watch for more than 15 seconds. So I'd rather kind of front load my video and make the first 15 seconds very, very good, rather than kind of stretch it out. So I think that's something that I like about my videos that might kind of connect with people.
I think to me, what's always shocks me is I'll watch your videos and the intros are so good, but they're so fast, but they feel so much longer than they actually are. Like it'll be like literally 5-6 seconds, boom, like the biggest dunk of the year, like you said. With that 5 or 6 second intro, it just feels like it stretches out the amount of time you're working with. Like it's like they're so good, and yet they get to the meat and potatoes so fast of it, which is a rare quality in a videographer. Like I watch a lot just to always try and get inspired for here, or be pointing the young videographers in a new direction. But like I constantly go back to your stuff and just how well you're able to get into it. But like there's still a build, even though it's only 5 seconds before you get into it. It's really impressive.
I repeat, enamored with your work.
Yeah, I guess we should have asked him. He probably has the better answer.
So has it ever been difficult to balance videography and basketball? I know you said it'll be like summers, you're just strictly video, season, strictly basketball now, but is it ever a struggle to balance the two?
Um, yeah, I think so. I mean, I think, right now I'm basically like, once I start the season, I'm not going to touch a camera. Um, so I guess I'm not really balancing it, I guess you could say. But like this summer, I still am working out, all that. And I think part of that is just kind of maintaining a healthy lifestyle, which even after basketball, I'm going to have to do. So just, getting up shots whenever I can, playing pickup. But it's definitely hard. Like sometimes I get so in the mode of an edit where I don't want to get up from my desk, but I'll kind of make myself go to the gym. And then I'm happy I did, obviously, afterwards. But sometimes I'm just so in the zone that I don't want to leave.
I've noticed sometimes, and not that I'm anywhere close to your level, but like when I'm working on an edit, I'll get really stuck and you get like deeper and deeper and deeper. And if I'm finally able, like I might be sitting there for like an hour. And then if I'm finally like on one thing that I'm stuck on, and if I'm able to go do some sort of physical activity, like I'll sit back down and be like, oh yeah, I should do this instead.
Yeah, that's probably a good way to do it. I think what I've used to do is just kind of like brute force the way through it. So I would like duplicate the sequence and then just start messing around in After Effects, and normally something will come to me. But I think that's probably a healthier way to go about it. Go get some activity.
How would you describe yourself as a player now?
I think right now my biggest strengths are probably like slashing. So I'm pretty athletic, getting to the rim, and then shooting. I shot fairly well this past season from three, but I'm not really going east-west dribbling. I'm basically like one or two dribbles max, kind of like that.
Has anyone ever talked smack to you in games, like referencing your videography?
Yeah, a couple of times. I think we were playing like College maybe, and I missed the three in the corner in front of their bench, and they were like, stick to making videos or something. But it is what it is. They were on the bench, so it's fine.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Catch that on video.
What are your goals post college? And I'm not trying to have you like, look, man, I'm 39, I'm old. I look back on the college athletic glory days. I try not to do it very much. I think it's I'm never going back, so it's not super healthy. But I'm well aware of like hang on to the moment, because once it's over, it's gone. But have you started thinking about what you want to do post college?
Yeah, I think I kind of go back and forth a bunch between doing my own thing. So like right now I have an LLC, like I have my own kind of freelance company. I don't do that much with it this summer because I decided to do an internship. So these past 2 summers, I did do my own thing, but I kind of wanted this experience with working in an actual team, and I've been enjoying it a lot. It's kind of opened my eyes to more opportunities after college. So I think I'm kind of deciding between working either in a production company, some sort of agency, some sort of pro team, or doing my own thing. I'm sure at some point in my career I will be full-time freelance, full-time entrepreneur, but I think in these couple of years after college, working with a pro team would probably be my goal.
Would you have any interest doing like a March Madness videography? Those guys have wonderful ones on CBS. Or what are they on now? What?
Man, I don't even remember what channel does it, but they always like. Yeah, I mean, it's
Right,
interesting the
moment.
business of college Division I hoops, where like it is a business.
Yeah.
So, I guess circling back around, how were you able to get your first camera? What went into getting that first camera, and what model was it?
Okay, so my first camera was a Canon 90D. And so it's like a little DSLR APS-C camera. But so I was very fortunate enough to be gifted some money my senior year for graduation, and I used a lot of that to get the camera, and that was great. And I kind of basically reinvested every single thing that I made. I would make, I don't know, a couple thousand a week doing these AU tournaments, and just I didn't spend money on anything else. I didn't go out. I didn't get food. I didn't do anything.
You're editing film all the time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, my parents. I live with my parents. So no, I was definitely very fortunate enough to be in a position where I could reinvest every single thing that I got. And that kind of allowed me to progress very quickly. So I upgraded to the R6 in 2021, I think, something like that. And then that's where my content, I think, really took that step up. And then from there, I've just been reinvesting basically everything.
So what outside of, because I want to get back into the advice for young videographers, but before we get to that, what other stuff that people don't realize did you have to do? You talked about setting up an LLC. I'd assume that you probably insure your gear, or have some sort of. If you don't, man, it's not that expensive. Get insurance, dude.
I've been procrastinating it, but it is in the works. I need to do that.
Someone takes a tumble, a foot, a leg goes flying, and suddenly it's.
I have like the warranties on everything, or not. Yeah, the warranties. But I need a proper insurance.
But so, like, what were the other steps outside of, getting out on the court, filming, and putting together good edits that have gone into you building yourself as a videographer? And now you have, much higher level people, organizations like coming to you for work. What are all the other parts beside the actual videography work that have gone into it?
I think the biggest one is probably just social media in general and kind of networking. So a lot of my work is through, I think 95% of my work has probably come through Instagram DMs. So just kind of managing that, and at the same time, especially when you're starting out, making sure you're posting all of your work and being consistent with that. And I think nowadays they come out with the feature with the collaborative posts. I'm sure you guys have seen that. And I think that's a game changer, because if you're a new account with 0 followers and you do a collaborative post with like a AU team with thousands of followers, you're basically going to get all of that engagement. So I wish they had that starting out. I think I kind of figured out early on that I wanted stuff that athletes who I posted would reshare. So I think a lot of my work early on, all I was posting was the bigger names. So stuff I necessarily wasn't getting paid for. But it was like I would go to these tournaments and film like, I don't know, Reed Ducharme or some of these other top guys in the area, and they would share that, and they have 20,000 followers, whatever. So I think knowing what to post that will get you that kind of traction and get you more eyes on your content that will therefore kind of translate to more opportunities.
So what's it like working with the Celtics?
Yeah, it's been great. I've been doing my own thing for a while, so I haven't really had the chance to work with like other talented people closely. So I'm able to like send them my videos that I've made for them, get feedback on them, which has been great. It's definitely opened my eyes. The team I'm working with is super talented. And I've been able to work on some cool projects. A couple of them I can't really say because they're not out yet, but I was able to do a season highlight tape for Al Horford, which was fun to work on, and just kind of learning about how they manage their content, kind of make a plan for what they're going to post when, as well as like managing all of the footage, because they're getting 50 different cameras. Every single play is logged, and like going through and finding all that has been great to learn about.
Wow. So where are your seats at the games?
I don't know. I'm only a summer intern.
Oh, come on, Celtics. Yeah. Come on.
I was supposed to start game 1 of the finals if they made it.
Oh.
And so I was on the edge of my seat every single game of the Eastern Conference.
Hopefully
finals.
it'll be in the finals this year.
Yeah.
What do you think about, so Bobby and I have talked a lot about this, but what do you think about, like, you look at, if they're high school kids, you get to a certain age, like it's I think it's cool, all that. But like, I think it's a tough line to straddle between, like, these kind of videos they're what is making a career for you, but also like, I feel like kids are getting so focused on the hype around it, and like you can kind of make anyone look like a superstar. Not that you do it, but you look at kind of the videographers, some of them that are kind of working the lower level circuits, they'll be making anyone look like a star. And then you look at like some of the really young kids whose parents are like paying to have like a mixtape made of like a 5th grader, a 6th grader, a 7th grader. And you can't even project what a kid's going to be as a player until they post puberty. And I think it's a tough line to straddle with it being really cool for kids and also needing to make a living. So it's like if someone's paying and they're going to pay you good money, but then like you know, some of these kids are it's playing into hype and ego and everything of kids that when they're that young, most of them are not going to make it anywhere. It's just the odds. And so what do you think about the kind of culture that surrounds the whole mixtape AAU scene?
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I think that's a big part of the reason why I'm not really in the AAU scene anymore. I think I was at a point where I'm getting all these messages from young kids asking me for mixtapes. And a couple of them were like, they wanted me to do a workout video. And then they said, I'm going to schedule this workout for Thursday. Let me know if you can make it. And then I couldn't make it. And they canceled the workout. And I'm like, you shouldn't be kind of working out around getting a video from it.
Yeah, basing your workout on my availability
exactly.
with my camera.
Yeah, so that kind of opened my eyes, and I was like, what's really like going on here? And I would get like requests for like super young kids, and I did some of that starting out. But I just kind of got to a point where I didn't need those jobs anymore to kind of make a living, which is great, and I'm fortunate enough to do that. But I also just, the content didn't excite me, and I didn't really like what I was doing to basketball.
Here's a thought: why not get your services to film low light tapes? So seriously, you film a game, you watch the kid. They're not exchanging on the weak side, or it's a lazy cut. They're not looking for the ball. Something like that for coaches to say, "Hey, right. Coach, look at this guy." I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Actually, another thing is, so part of the reason why I loved working with Magic is, so they were high level guys, first of all, but also a lot of what Coach Crotty was looking for wasn't those, flashy mixtapes with a lot of effects. It was like raw highlights showcasing the players' abilities for coaches. And I think that kind of resonated with me more. And then I could take that footage, and if one of the players wants to make a mixtape, I can do that. But so basically, right when I started working with Magic, that gave me the ability to say no to these like workout mixtapes for 12-year-old kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was able to kind of focus on that, which I think is more fulfilling and actually had kind of a purpose and help these kids with their tapes and like their recruiting.
So how sick were you filming a 12-year-old's workout tapes when they're no good anyway?
Yeah, I guess I never actually did a 12-year-old's workout, but I did a couple like camps with like very young kids, and it was a struggle.
And being a player, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so bad.
Yeah, it's honestly hard to make a basketball video without like a dunk.
It really is.
Right. On that first base drop, I need something. Yeah.
It's one of the things when you were talking about that, about the Magic allowing you to kind of do the sort of video that's going to help kids' careers, like recruiting wise. I think that's something that a lot of kids don't understand, and a lot of videographers, if I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, don't understand. If I'm being more probably true, it's more like they just don't want to let them know. The mixtapes, as they call them, they're really cool. Back when I was a high school athlete, if they existed, I'm sure I would have wanted to save up money to get one made because they look cool. And I wouldn't hold that against any kid for being like, hey, if someone can make me like look like it's like a movie about me playing, like the cinematic style and everything. And if you're a great player, they can help you build your brand. Like if you're someone that now NIL, you can make money. If you get some really dope mixes, you can build a following and then kind of parlay that into some sort of sponsorship. But mixtapes don't help kids get on a college roster or get a college scholarship. And I remember getting into an argument with like a videographer that I don't need to name, but someone that I don't think has a lot of morals a couple years ago. And like, dude, these do not help kids get recruited. And I think that's what like a lot of kids do not understand. Sure, get a mixtape made to look like dope online, and it's really cool. Like what you do is art, but you need to get a different kind of film to get coaches interested in having you come play for them at the next level.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I don't want to act like I'm like a recruiting service or anything. And I think most of what I was doing and what I am doing is I see it more as art. And
it's exactly it's beautiful.
The players are coming to me to have something cool to share on their social media, share with their friends. But yeah, I think that working with Magic and kind of experiencing the other side was just kind of a fresh breath of air, and like kind of like fresh content that I think actually had a purpose. But yeah, no, kids are not going to get a scholarship offer because they're like, you can't tell how good a kid plays if you're kind of slow-moing clips and cutting them back and forth. And one thing I used to do was like if a kid would miss a shot, I would cut to a different clip of the ball going in.
Yeah, like if you've got that camera whip following the shot,
exactly,
you really can't tell. Like when I started out, like when I got back into it, because when I started out in videography and in multimedia stuff, it was before the mixtape stuff. So like I was like going for like cinematic but much longer kind of format and all that sort of stuff. But when I got back into it and I was learning what like you're whipping the camera after a shot, you could splice in someone else's made shot if it's from the same angle and you do it right. And I don't want it to seem like I'm saying like what you do is art and it is incredible. Like it is, I could watch your videos all day long because they are incredible. So it's no disrespect at all intended about it. It's just that it some kids will think that a dope mixtape serves a recruiting purpose. And I'll never forget, a coach for an AAU team a couple years ago, I had shot them at some lower level tournament and like had done some mixes for some of the players. And then he hits me up like a year later. He's like, do you have this video on so-and-so that they had asked me to make, but then no one ever paid me. And so I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. He's like, he's getting looked at by, he said, a low level D1 school. Like, can you finish that video up? I'm like, number one, that was like a year ago. That footage is buried. Number two, I wasn't shooting for like a recruiting style. Like I was shooting for a cinematic style. Like I don't think a college is going to care about what it looks like. And that's the thing is like, you can change speeds, you're slow mowing it, they can't tell, but also like videographers will, ramp it up to like 105%. So it still looks believable speed, but you've got a little bit more of that extra choppiness if it's going slightly a teeny bit faster. So they can't tell what a kid's game speed actually is. You usually can't see spacing. You don't see how someone cuts in a mixtape or how they screen or how they defend like a ball screen or anything like that. So
yeah, I mean that's the public service announcement for this podcast, right? Kid, you're not going to get recruited because you have a great video.
Yeah,
they're going to want to have their eyes on you. The video helps, but until the coach has his eyes on you, his or her eyes on you, I should say, you're pretty much out of luck.
Don't get me wrong. If you have the money and Bobby Media is willing to do a video on you, like go for it because it's gonna look incredible.
Go for it, Bobby Media.
But it's not gonna be the thing that gets you a college scholarship if he's shooting for a cinematic videotape.
Not to mention that you need something to actually film, right? Something worth filming.
Exactly. Right. And I think I was obviously in the position where I got recruited to play basketball as well, so I kind of had an inside scoop. And in my experience, every coach that recruited me was asking for full game tape.
Yep.
So they wanted, I think the huddle stuff is perfect for like, they want to see the spacing. They want to see
huddle synergy,
all of that stuff. That's what you want to send them. So even if you're sending them highlights, you should do the full plays. They want to see you run down the court, how you come off the screen, everything. And I think sending them that is going to be a lot more valuable. And that's not what I'm trying to do. And I think players need to know the distinction. So the PSA is good.
Do you have a favorite video that you've done? Because you've done a lot.
Yeah, I think I go through like different phases. So I think a lot of my old stuff, a lot of people would look at and probably say that's my better stuff. So a lot of the mixtapes. So I had a couple good ones with the Magic guys or players like that. But I always kind of think my last video is my best video. But I kind of go through different phases. So a couple of my videos, I focus more on cinematography and color grading and framing. So I'll do like the wide on Instagram, which like the 16:9, which isn't always the best for engagement because it's small. But I just kind of try to switch it up. But I'd say, yeah, I think always just whatever my last video is.
How quickly do you? I think that the thing it's still hard for me to balance, and um, running the station here, I'm doing way more videography than any other executive director that I know, but like I'm not doing as much as I used to. So it's not I'm still in the thick of the editing and the shooting. I love shooting. I love, location hunting and all that sort of stuff. And um but I'm not in it the same way that you are. And I'm not on your level anyways. But it was always hard for me to find the balance of you put so much effort and thought and hours into a really great edit. And then it's like when it's done, it's like gotta go on to the next one now. Like it's how long do you kind of sit there and soak in what you've done, or how quickly do you have to move on to the next project when you're in video editing mode, not basketball mode?
Yeah, I think it's kind of depending on where I'm at. So at school, I kind of have a lot of flexibility within our creative department. So I work with our athletic department. It's kind of just 3 people. So I can kind of go film whatever games I want, and do kind of what I want with the footage. And with those, I'll normally get them their raw highlights that they like to post on their website and YouTube, and I can bang that out in 20 minutes. And then depending on what I feel like, I will make a creative video for myself or for the team to post individually. And those I can I'll normally spend probably 6 or 7 hours on them. And again, this isn't stuff that I'm making like crazy that I'm going to post personally. Like you can kind of see a drought on my Instagram where I don't post really anything from Amherst. But in another situation, like with the Celtics, I really enjoy it. They're giving me hard deadlines, which I've never dealt with before because I'm always creating my own deadlines. So they'll be like, okay, you're going to work on this Horford video. You have until next Thursday. So I can kind of block up my time, and I have a hard deadline to stop by. So I can't, because I like to like stress over like the little things and like export it 20 times and perfect the little errors. But in a situation like I'm in the summer, I kind of need to focus in and be more methodical about the edit.
I think that working on a deadline is so important. It's a skill I wish I learned when I was younger, because it's much better to get a good video done in a timely fashion than an amazing video that's taken a long time. Like a B+ video done within a week is way better than an A+ video that's a month later, unless it is some like long-term project. But if you're doing like game highlight, player highlight from a certain game, it's like get it done while it's still relevant. I think it's so important, and it's something that a lot of I didn't have that skill when I was younger. I'd be doing exporting it a million times, getting so hung up on every little transition, and it's like something when you're on a deadline, it's like you just got to get it done and get it out. I think it promotes like a better work and a better workflow because you don't get so invested in a single video.
Yeah, I think it definitely depends what your goals are. I think if you're in a place where you want to be getting out a lot of content, then definitely. I actually think some of my best videos were the exact opposite because all I did for a couple of years was this. So I would like fully invest myself in one video, and it definitely wasn't healthy. But I think I kind of made some good work. But I would agree with what you're saying with it's more important to make a good video consistently than invest.
Yeah, and I think consistency, that's the word that I was looking for. That like when you're really becoming like a high level pro at it, that you always need to be thinking kind of about the next video and the next job, because you need to keep it going to be able to really make a living at it, and when you're young and you're not working for anybody or any, take a year on a video, whatever it is, and you can do amazing stuff. But I do think that at some point it starts preparing you for like getting to that next level financially, career wise, to be like, all right, I need to be consistent more than it is like go all in for this one video. You always want to grow so that your baseline consistent level keeps rising.
Exactly.
But like you do need to be consistent in how quickly you're getting stuff done. Just as much, if I think more so than like what your top level ability is.
Right. Yeah, because like me spending 1 hour on a video now is better than me spending 6 hours 2 years ago. Like that baseline, like you're saying, is just improving. So with more practice and turning out more content, like you're saying, even if it's just good videos, you're just gonna keep getting better, and less time will go into making very good videos.
What do you think's the most hours you ever spent on an edit? Get a guesstimate.
So this one's probably not, it's not really what you're looking for, I bet, but I did a season promo video for the Magic, and that was probably the most because I took every single clip that I shot throughout 8 or 9 tournaments for multiple different teams. So like their 17U, 16U, their B and C teams. And I had all of that. I sorted through all of it. I conducted 5 interviews with players. So like I did Pat Connaughton, Tyler Kolek, Crotty, and a couple other current players. And so that was a lot, just organizing everything. And it ended up being like a 5-minute edit, I think, like the final deliverable. Yeah. But that probably, I don't even know. That was weeks of all day. But I'm pretty happy with that one. But in terms of like social media videos, I think the longest I spent on one was probably just one of those mixtapes back from 2021 where I would just have nothing else to do and just fully dive into.
I mean, I think the 5-minute, that answer was perfect.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily thinking mixtape. I was just thinking in your kind of career, what's the most you've put in? I have a video project that I've been working on since COVID started. It's not done, and I don't know if it's ever going to get done. But from back in my athletic college time, which was the early to mid 2000s, I had spent years tracking down old VHS video of all these different players in the America East Conference, small Division I conference, but you know, a lot of friends of mine, and then transferring that from, you know, myself. I set up a whole studio from VHS, some DVD, but mostly VHS, to digital, and then going through. And I've been making, you know, individual highlight videos for different guys that are, you know, we're in our late 30s now, and there's almost no, it was pre-YouTube basically. There's almost no video out there, pre-stream, where everyone was streaming everything and putting together the individual highlight videos, which is really cool. But I've also been putting together like a dunk mix from that era, and it's now like a 15-minute video of, it's like hundreds of games that I've gone through. And it's just morphed into this like thing that will just never be finished because I'm still probably only halfway through the video that I have accumulated.
Yeah, no, that's fun though. I think projects like that definitely kind of keep your love for editing going.
So at this point, you know, you've worked for you've interned for the Celtics. Have you been involved in, have you branched out at all away from sports? Has anyone approached you about doing edits that are not, because I think a lot of stuff from your sports edits translates to all different kinds of cinematography, but have people approached you, or have you started branching out? Or are you kind of thinking sports is going to be your thing?
Yeah, I think 99% of my stuff is sports, and I've done a couple corporate videos, just interviews, B-roll, put together like a 2-minute recruiting video, something like that. I've done that for a couple companies, but I don't really want to post that stuff because that's not necessarily the work I want to be doing. And like it paid well, and I'm not going to say no to it, but I'm not going to go actively seek those jobs. And I think right now I'm somewhere where I want to be combining those two things. So that's not really for me right now, working with individual athletes. That's more working for sporting companies. So like I'm working with like a boxing gym in a couple of weeks, doing like a promotional video for them. So I see my content on a freelance side being a lot more around that. And kind of, I'm still in sports, but it's also combining sports with kind of corporate videos. And normally that's a bigger budget, as well as kind of more creative videos. Yeah.
How, when you first started, did you figure out your rate? How did you figure out your price point? I think that's something a lot of young videographers, look, when you're starting, if you're a kid and you're fortunate enough to get a camera or something like, you know, like I think it's kind of about just, if you're young enough that you don't need the money, it's almost like build the portfolio, learn as much as you can, shoot what you can. But when you get to the point where you're trying to make money, it's like it is such an important and critical decision of what is your price point going to be. Because if you set it too high, that's unreasonable. People are going to be like, why should I go with you? But if you set it too low, it's so hard to then course correct once you've kind of set your market rate. How did you figure that out?
Yeah, no, that was probably my single biggest struggle, especially like from a business aspect. I think one thing that you have to do when you're starting out is definitely start off working for free. And that's not necessarily like going and like kind of changing your brand to only doing free stuff. But I think what you have to do is find very good athletes in your area, work for free. But I think it's very important that you are the one initiating it, because if there's people coming to you saying, come work for me for free and like you'll get exposure or something, never do that, because those people probably aren't the best people because they're looking for kind of handouts and free stuff. So I think if you're going to people and offering them free content, that's going to benefit both of you guys. And then from there, once you get your more eyeballs on your work, you can start to charge. And I think when you're starting out, a good rule of thumb is, well, first of all, like talk to other people. So I had a pretty good network of other creatives that I was able to ask what they were doing, just because market value is a thing. So you want to make sure you're not significantly lower than other people in your same area, or significantly higher. But I guess a good rule of thumb is figure out how much time you're spending on each edit, and then go figure out like an hourly wage. But it's kind of fluctuated a lot for me because, you know, my stuff with Magic, not to get too much into like budget and stuff, but that wasn't like an hourly thing. Like we had a budget for the summer. And then, you know, a lot of my stuff now is like with my school, and that's just hourly through my school. Just I put in my hours. And then any one-off freelance jobs. At this point, I've kind of realized that because I'm so busy, I can kind of just say to these people who reach out to me, I can just say a bigger number. And then if they say that's too big, okay, cool, I didn't really have time anyway. And then if they say yes, then it's actually worth my time because it's enough money. But obviously you can't really do that when you're starting out. So I think the most important thing is making good content. And as you keep making better content, you can up your price.
So the lesson is to go from free to fee.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be willing to prove yourself.
Yep.
You know, you're gonna do some things for free, but build your rep and take it from there. But it's great that you had some mentors to actually tell you, you know, and help you understand what the marketplace was. That's awesome.
You know, it's funny. I'll find the clip at some point, but really early on, it was probably episode 3, 4. We were talking about AAU in general and the pros and the cons and all that. And I talked about the videography scene, and I was talking about for young kids. And I said kind of exactly what Bobby's saying, which is like anyone that comes to you and
Bobby
says,
Media.
Yes, I said,
Okay.
I was talking, exactly what Bobby Media said, which is like anyone who comes to you and is looking for you to produce free content for exposure, in quotes, run from it. I will find that clip. I will put it in here because, you know, it is one of those things that like, you want to get good content early on. You want to build your brand. You're going to be doing that. But like, if you're doing something for free, like you control what you're doing. Like, do the look you want, shoot it the way you want, edit it the way you want. If you're doing something for free, do not let other people come and tell you, no. Like, well, I want it to be this. I want it to be that. I want to look like, no, like you're doing the work for free. It's your labor. You're not employed by anyone. So do what you want. And anyone that is like coming to you, trying to get you to work for free is not someone that you want to be. They don't have your best interest in mind.
Exactly.
So. Yeah. Have you done any like commercial? I know you talked about you're doing some like recruiting videos and stuff. Have you done anything that has played on the like airwaves anywhere yet? I'm sure maybe some of the Celtics stuff will, but have you done any stuff yet?
Like airwaves in terms of like TV,
like TV or like, you know,
I think, I mean, some of the stuff I've shot for the Celtics, like a couple, like Missoula was at one of the camps, or like Sam Hauser, I think, or actually Jordan Walsh came and visited like one of the community centers. I think some of that was on NBC Sports, but I mean, most of my stuff is social media. Um, so it's kind of just hitting that kind of space.
What are your goals for the remainder of your basketball career? You said you got 2 years left. There are D3 guys that like will go overseas. A few of them will like, make decent money or have a decent career. But a lot of D3 guys, I don't want to say a lot, it's a very rare few, but they can go play in a lower level league for a bit and just get the experience. But it seems like that's not what your goal is. Your maybe you playing hoops seems like it's kind of like when college is done, that's when you're outside of maybe like competitive men's leagues, that's when your basketball playing road sort of comes to an end.
Yeah, no, I think I'll probably be done with basketball after school. I love videography so much that I kind of want to pursue it right away. But in terms of goals for these next 2 years, I think NESCAC championship. I think last year we had a pretty disappointing season. We didn't make it into playoffs, but we have pretty much our whole team returning, and we have some very talented guys. And I think we can definitely make a deep run, both in the NESCAC tournament and the national tournament. So I think winning those two championships is the biggest goal.
What do you think next steps are for you as a videographer after your internship wraps up with the Celtics, which is super prestigious and you literally getting to get experience with a professional sports team? But like, what do you think next steps are after that in your professional journey?
I think just continuing to get better, and one of my biggest focuses right now is my YouTube channel. Actually, I'm kind of posting tutorials, and I'm basically just trying to curate a place where I can post, I can make content that could eventually be a source of income for me, which isn't my main goal. But I want a place where I can post stuff that is more creative. And right now I'm in a space where I'm kind of adding value, doing tutorials and all that. But I eventually see this YouTube channel as a place where I could post like short films or other cinematic videos, stuff like that. So I'm going to definitely continue working on that. I think working for Amherst and UMass this fall is going to be a lot of fun. I think I've improved a lot working with the Celtics. And I'm excited to kind of take that into the fall. And then from there, I mean, my focus will be fully on basketball in the winter. And then the spring and summer, might do another internship. I might go freelance. I haven't really decided that yet, but it's exciting.
Do you have a favorite place to film or favorite places that you filmed?
I think I loved traveling with Magic, because that was fun, just kind of going out there filming all day. I think we were in like Texas, Indiana, Chicago, places like that. So it was cool kind of getting to travel around and do that. I'd say that's probably that.
You ever get an opportunity to film at Matthews Arena in Boston where Northeastern plays? You should do it. It's not just being an alum and having an affinity for it, but like it's a very unique look. It's the oldest like multi-purpose / basketball arena in the world that's still in use. It's more than 100 years old. It was the home of the Bruins at one point, the Celtics at one point. It was like every president up until the middle of the 1900s like gave a speech there. Muhammad Ali trained there before the Olympics when he was still Cassius Clay. But it has the old Boston Garden feel. It has the upper level, that overhang. It's got like the pillars everywhere. It's got the beams in the ceiling. And literally, if you go to the upper level, they did away with it because it messes up sight lines for people down below, like that style where the upper level is hanging like right over the court because of what you need to support it. But like, it is one of the coolest places to film, I think, just from a aesthetic point of view, because it's such old architecture.
Yeah, no, I'll try to get out there. Sounds fun.
What advice, just if you had to give some advice to a young kid that is just starting out, but that is hoping to kind of follow in your sort of footsteps, what advice would you give to a young kid?
I have a couple of like very specific ones, because I think a lot of people, when they get this question, they like give like, oh,
listen to your
work
heart,
hard,
follow your
yeah,
dreams, you know,
which
like,
is
but
all true.
yeah,
and I don't
but
want to take away from that. But a couple things that have really helped me is it sounds counterintuitive, but I actually delete Instagram and Twitter and YouTube off my phone because I would get in these like this kind of space of mind where I'm just scrolling and seeing everybody else's work, and sometimes it inspires me, but more often than not, it discourages me. And I think I would start to copy that subconsciously. So I think if you can find other sources of inspiration for your work, whether that's watching movies or watching longer form stuff, I just think constantly bombarding yourself with content in your pocket on your phone is not the best long term situation. And I think, you know, like I'll still check it, like I'll check it on my computer or download it occasionally, but I think that's a pretty good piece of advice that I kind of figured out recently. And then subscribe to my YouTube channel because I'm gonna post pretty good stuff. Yeah.
I would co-sign that. Subscribe to your YouTube channel. Well, Bobby, we're really looking forward to seeing where you go, and you know, maybe when you get there, you'll think of us little people back here at WCTV.
You'll be doing the NBA finals before you know it.
Right, appreciate that. No, thank you guys for having me on today. It was great.
It's awesome.